Hey guys, Dinosaur Magic here. Sorry for the late video and sorry if I sound kind of exhausted. Today was a nightmare and I'm like 4 hours into making a how to build a Bitcoin mining rig video, so watch for that. It is officially the video from hell at this point. But anyway, we got some Rivals of Ixalan spoilers, like a ton of them, which is cool because I hate the whole, here, have one card like every 2 days. It's just, no, the hype train fell off the rails, guys. But it's slightly back on the rails because we got Angrath the Flame Chained, a garbage cell phone pic of it or something. I don't know. Why do they keep sending promos to people without giving them also a copy of the digital copy? They could even watermark it with the person's name, which would actually help them once it hits like a spoilers website, because then you'd be like, oh yeah, they got an exclusive spoiler. Anyway, Angrath the Flame Chained. Remember we already saw one Angrath. He cost 6 and he was 5 loyalties from the Planeswalker deck and he was actually really good. So let's see if this one's good. 4 loyalty for 5, so it's a little late game, but hey. Each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life for +1. That's insane. That is like super, super, super good. Then we got -3, which that's a little rough. When it's +1 and he starts with 4, that's rough. But you gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step if it has converted mana cost 3 or less. That's actually kind of funny. So you can steal their biggest thing, swing at them with it, and then they don't get it back. I actually built a deck on color with this that does that. All it does is steal their creatures and then sacrifice them during the second main phase, actually. So this guy would just be self-contained that, and I could just drop him in. So that's pretty good. It's just -3 is rough. Like, you would really have trouble doing that twice. It better, like, turn around the whole game, but it's so powerful of an ability. I get why it's 3, so it's appropriate. And his ultimate is 8, which will be really hard to get to. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of cards in his or her graveyard. So in other words, they lose the game. So yeah, that one's pretty good. I don't think anybody's going to bother to like put in graveyard clearing. I mean, you could just put in Planeswalker removal instead. But yeah, you drop him out and then use the ability, goes to 5, and then he's 6, 7, 8. So you're like 3 turns plus another one away. I mean, it's far away. I wouldn't like worry about it. It's not like, whoa. But if he gets to it, he's probably going to end the game. So that is really good. I just like the +1. I mean, discard a card and lose 2 life. You could just do that. I mean, and I assume there's separate independent triggers because discard does not mean successfully. It's just like cast does not mean successfully. Anyway, next up we've got another garbage like freaking cell phone shot. I mean, seriously, Wizards, like, this is what you're throwing out there? Like, this quality when people are like, ooh, spoilers, let's see the new product, and then this is the picture they get? Stop sending spoilers to people who will do this. This is ridiculous. Anyway, add Zocan Seer. It's a 3 cost and it taps for any color mana, so that's kind of cool. I don't know if that's quite like modern grade. I mean, Birds of Paradise is better. But the cool thing is sacrifice at Mayan Guy Seer. Return target dinosaur card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's kind of cool because you could use him to cast a big old dinosaur, mid-size or whatever. And then if somebody destroys it, you're like, well, I have 1 more land now. It's been 3 turns. Cool. I don't need the Seer anymore. Sack it, bring the dinosaur back, except not directly. It's to your hand, not to the battlefield, which is good. Because anything that drops something straight from the graveyard into play, I don't like that. It's just inherently broken. It just is, because you could self-mill like some 15-15 or whatever. I mean, I know the Eldrazi are gone, but still. Now, the cool thing is this is a 2/3, so all around, this is just good. I mean, this is like the card you would drop out right before you start dropping out mid to large size dinos, so I like it. Next up, oh my god, Wizards, can you stop pretending to be multicultural and just give us a version of a card that we can read, okay? I get it, you're like, let's give it to these, exclusive spoiler to these people out in, whatever, Japan or whatever. Great, I still need to read the card, so it may or may not translate to Awakened Amalgamation. And it may or may not have power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control with different names. Well, that will get to 4 if you're lucky. This is like a complete waste of a rare. I mean, I get it. You could like totally run away with the game if you have like a ridiculous land base. But why would you ruin your entire land base by throwing in like deserts and a bunch of garbage just to get this guy huge? I mean, the possibility of making him a 7/7 for 4 is kind of cool. And then you could drop him into any color deck. So I guess if you're already running 3 color, maybe drop him in. But there's not enough sets legal. I mean, this might be like cool for modern, but not really because it costs 4. I don't know. It's just, I think it's a bit of a whiff. By the way, they say it's a golem. Called it. There's going to be golems in the city. Next up, Dusk Charger. Ooh, this shows off Ascend, which is a new keyword. I'm already confused by it. So this is a 3/3 for 4, but while you have the city's blessing, you get +2/+2. Or say the creature does, not you. So, I mean, let's read it. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. Okay, so I assume that means even if this leaves play, you still have the city's blessing. So if you drop in another creature with Ascend and you don't have 10 permanents, you still have the city's blessing. The question is this like a card trigger on the battlefield ability, or is this a new rule of the game where like you now have Ascend before an Ascend creature or permanent comes out as long as you have 10. So let's say you have 10 and then they destroy 2 creatures, then you cast this. Do you retroactively say, I have the city's blessing because I had Ascend, because Ascend is now a keyword in the game's rules? Or is it only when you have an Ascend creature out? Well, or permanent. I assume they're going to put Ascend on just about anything. So I'm not clear on that, and I don't like stuff that confuses people right out of the gate. That's just bad. Also, this isn't terribly exciting. It's basically like the cheapest, crappiest version of Devotion ever. Remember I said I wanted Devotion back or something like it? This doesn't promote mono at all. It's just kind of blah, but I still kind of like it because if you think about it, I really, really, really like cards that get more powerful based on it being late in the game. So Morphers, they're kind of like that. Strive and Multi-Kicker, they're kind of like that because you'll have more mana. There's other stuff that says like blah, 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 gain life based on the biggest power of creatures you have or number of creatures in play or whatever. So in other words, okay, the game's been going for a while. Now you get a super powered whatever because of it. Hopefully the game will end now. Because I hate it when games just drag on and drag on and drag on because, then you get 50 plus minute rounds and ties and ugh. So anything that says, okay, 10 permanents, the game is obviously, it should have been won by now. Just like do something. Somebody win the game already. I'd love to see something just straight up say based on how many turns there have been, but then you'd have to keep a counter and that kind of be a pain. So certainly not the most exciting mechanic and certainly not Devotion, but it's still kind of cool. It only plays along with like token dump decks or dirt cheap stuff and I don't know, really particular types of cards or decks, I should say. I don't love it, but it serves the purpose of, okay, it's the game's been going for a while, here, have more power. Unless, of course, both people do it, then it's still a stalemate. So this card itself, not bad for a common, honestly. Next up, we've got, Olinda, the duck, I can't read today. She's the Duck Rose, sure, why not? Y también, she brought her quinceañera dress, apparently. So this is Saint Olinda. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's who the first vampire was, right? She's been missing, because it says her centuries-long search has ended. That's the flavor text. I'm pretty sure Olinda was like the one that they all worship and praise and stuff, but nobody knows where she went. Well, here she is. So she's coming back. I love the storyline even more than the cards at this point, so this is cool. And she's a 1/1 for 4, so sign me up. Okay, she has lifelink. That's wonderful. And whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on her. All right, so she's like Yahanis, but a little bit better. I mean, that's cool with lifelink, but like, come on, she'd have to get up to like 3 to be even worth her cost. So 2 more things would have to die. You'll have to use removal spells or, I don't know, sacrifice your own stuff or get it killed in combat. I mean, it's just, and all just to feed her. That's kind of putting all your eggs in one basket in case they exile her. But get this, when Olinda dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink where X is Olinda's power. So that's like a worm coil engine on steroids. Now I'm sure they're going for, oh no, that you killed Olinda. Let's all avenge her. And a bunch of vampires pop out and they're like, oh, we're gonna kill you. I'd like to think of it as you destroy her and she turns into, like, literally turns into little 1 foot tall vampires. She explodes into little vampire munchkins that look like leprechauns and they all just swarm you. So having to kill her twice and change is pretty cool, but taking like multiple turns in cards and creatures to get her to not suck is kind of dumb. But I mean, I guess right out of the box, as it were, you have to kill her twice. So I don't love it. I mean, it already costs 4, so it's like, how much more stuff do you have left to do? And if you were to use like a Yenny's expertise to sweep, she won't survive it herself. So, I mean, she doesn't seem that great, but I really do like that bottom part. I think she's a little much for a legendary mythic, though. But hey, at least she's back. Next up, we've got a very interesting card. I really like this one. Enter the Unknown. It's a 1-cost sorcery. Target creature you control explores. So even if it didn't have Explore, it explores now, once. And then you may play an additional land this turn. So if you pull a non-land, it gets a counter. And then I think you can either graveyard it or keep it on the top of your deck. So it's kind of like a little scry. It's like a scry plus a bump, you know. One counter for 1 mana isn't like amazing, but whatever. Or you can pull a land, the creature gets nothing, and then you get to play that land regardless. So if it's late game, it's like you probably would have been able to anyway, but if it's early game, there you go. I mean, you just double dropped, which is pretty sick. Also, the way the card reads, if you hit a non-land, but you have 2 lands in your hand, you can now, well, effectively drop both of them. You could play one and then play the other. So this card has a 1 in 3 shot of pulling land, give or take, because about 1/3 of your deck is land. So it's not really ramp. I mean, you can't just start the game with 1 forest in this and say, oh, it's attuned with the Aether. No, it is very much not attuned with the Aether. And then dropping 1 counter on something for 1 green is just stupid. Now the free scry effect, just in case, is kind of okay, where you can either keep it on the top or not. So that makes it a kind of okay card. But explore triggers, wherever it says whenever you explore or whenever a creature you control explores, then boom, trigger. That's what puts this card over the top. And explore is an amazing, like subtle, simple, yet effective in large groups kind of mechanic. I love it. I love Explorer. I'm glad that we see more support for it. And yeah, hopefully we get a couple more cards to work with it. Just do not consider this card ramp. It is not ramp. Next up, Form of the Dinosaur. So we're going to some weird Asian martial arts movie crap. It's a 6-cost red enchantment, so it's already useless garbage because, you know, high cost, high rarity red cards are always universally crap. Let's see, what does it do? When Form of the Dinosaur enters the battlefield, your life total becomes 15. What the hell? That is purely a white mechanic. That's weird. And then, at the beginning of your upkeep, Form of the Dinosaur deals 15 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and that creature deals damage equal to its power to you. Okay, so 15 it's dead, like Emrakul would be dead. And, let's see, then whatever its power was is dealt to you, and honestly, if you were above 15 at the time, you took a hit when you played this. Let's see, life total resetters or something really similar to it is really dumb because you have to like plan for already having lost the game or be losing the game at that point for you to get a lot of benefit out of it. And then I don't see the word may anywhere in that second ability. So if they have a creature, you have to deal 15 damage to it, whether you destroy it or not, by the way. So if it gains indestructible, great. Then it deals its power to you. So there's about 15 ways that could backfire. That said, if you were to mix this with white lifelinkers, especially like white flying lifelinkers like Aerial Responder, or really honestly even anything on the ground, is anything at all that has lifelink, holy cow, or just really high damage like 4/2 red creatures, because you're getting their creatures out of the way while swinging. It would be a lot better if you're doing that while swinging with lifelink, because then this card would be insane, but that's kind of narrow, and it does cost 6. Plus, that's a white mechanic. Red does not do that. Red doesn't gain life, like, ever, under any circumstances. That is just weird. Well, I guess they just assumed it's going in a white deck anyway, because you're going to need lifelink. All right, let's hit one more, and then I'll split this into multiple parts here, because this will be like a 30-minute video. There's a lot of spoilers. So, I mean, at least, I gotta say, that's an interesting card. It's narrow, but it's very interesting. Never really seen anything like it, and at least I'll give him points for that. So next up, we got Frill Death Spitter, as seen in Jurassic Park 1. I think it killed, we'll just say Newman. I don't know his name. No, Newman. Anyway, this is Enrage. I love Enrage. It's awesome. It's a 3/2 for 3, so that's cool. And whenever it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. So it kind of has Wither. Or not Wither, Afflict. It has 67% trample, I guess you could say. I mean, it's not nothing. I mean, I kind of wish it had haste, but I mean, 3/2 is a little much anyway. And it's only single red, so it goes in a Dino deck. I mean, this is cool. You might be able to cast this for 2 at some point with the reductions. Hell, you can cast it for 1 in some cases. So this is cool. I mean, I like the semi-trample where if they were to block it with like a 3/3, okay, they still take 2. But if you were to use, like, what is that, like Twin Bolt or whatever, that dual shot, whatever that is, a little enraged trigger, or prod, obviously, then you get a little something out of it. So, you know, it doesn't take much to destroy this guy at 2 toughness, but I think it's appropriate compared to his cost. So this is really good. I mean, I like Enrage, and he's really good. I'm glad to see more support for it, because there's a lot of different ways to build dinosaurs, because you can go Enrage heavy triggers, you can go self-damage, minor removal with combat tricks and boost with Enrage, or just Dinosaur gigantic dump with, you know, all in mana ramp and cost reduction. And I believe the dinosaurs are primarily 3 colors, so you really have a lot of different ways to build dinos, and people like it because dinosaurs are cool. So anyway, that's about half the spoilers. I'm going to get the other half in another video, but what do you think so far? I mean, nothing's like overpowered or broken or scary. Thank God we haven't seen a merfolk yet, but I already know they're there, so I can't really get too excited. And I don't know, it's kind of neat. I mean, the mechanics are nothing too special, I guess, so far, but hopefully we'll see something that is pretty cool. Just like that ascend or whatever just seems kind of This is like whatever. It's kind of confusing, kind of weak. You have very little control over it, and if you build your whole deck around it, it's like, did you really sacrifice the deck's actual quality just to throw things out there for a count? And Olinda's kind of disappointing. Angrath is pretty good, though, so overall, I mean, it just looks like, yeah, it's a set. Here's some cards. All right. Hopefully they get better in the next video, which will be uploaded shortly. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.